What is up, kinfolk? Today we're going to play a little bit of red flag, green flag, and this is going to be finance edition. This guy is going to give a couple questions to some women on the street, and they're going to say if this is a red flag for the relationship or a green flag for the relationship. I'm going to give my 2 cents on if I think it's a red flag or a green flag. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm Casey.
I'm Izzy.
This guy takes you to McDonald's on the first date because it's cheaper.
Red flag for me. It's not even the food. It's the choice. We could easily just go on, have a coffee, and get a muffin from the grocery store. Don't choose McDonald's. Like, you could be cheap without being McDonald's cheap. You know, you could be cheaper than McDonald's and not go to McDonald's.
Oh, I don't really mind, like, if it's cheap or not, but if you don't want to spend a lot of money, then, like, maybe just put a little more effort into it. Like, go to the beach.
Yeah, an activity.
Yeah.
He talks to you about money on the first date.
Yeah, don't talk about money on the first date. That's a turn off. At the bare minimum, I feel like what's acceptable is asking what each other's occupation is. What do you do for work? That's reasonable without having to ask the money question. And that sometimes gives a little bit of insight into how much money they make. But for the most part, like, why are you bringing up money?
This actually happened to me. We went on the first date, and then he was basically crap talking about how much I ordered.
How much she spent?
The bill was like $90 for our first date.
You go on a second date?
No, we didn't.
He doesn't own a credit card.
Ooh. Green flag for me. You could pay everything in cash. In order for you to want to pay cash for certain things, you have to put in some form of strategy and plan for your money. You have proper saving tactics, I would assume. One of the things is that because you're paying with everything in cash, you have the ability to negotiate for a lower price. Versus somebody who has a credit card, they're going to assume that you're more than likely not going to make your payments and default on those payments. It shows me that you're not in debt and that you're not interested in going in debt and that you don't spend outside of your means. You only spend on what you can afford and based on how much money you have in your bank, not on how much money you don't have and relying on a credit card to subsidize for payments that you can't even make yourself without having a credit card. Does that make sense? Next one.
When he gets married, he wants to combine your finances into one account.
Ooh, this is interesting. I already know a whole bunch of girls aren't gonna like this. I'm gonna say that's a green flag. It requires you to have a certain sense of accountability. If you want to make a big purchase, you're gonna have to talk to each other about it. When you typically tend to separate that out, and people who want to separate that out, you have a very selfish mindset. That's a very me mindset. Like, this is my money. I'm like, well, we're married now. This isn't just my money. It's our money. We are both surviving on this, so we both need to have conversations on how we're going to spend our money. It requires us to be responsible. It requires us to be cognizant of the other person. It's going to require us to budget with one another. Even when it comes down to budgeting, allocating out, like, okay, this is your, like, spending money. This is your free spending money. This is my free spending money. And that's the money where I'm not going to talk to my husband about, like, hey, I made a purchase on this pair of shoes or I bought a brand new guitar. It has nothing to do with our main account. It's everything to do with me and how I spend my own money. But when that money's dried up, I'm not dipping into his funds talking about, hey, like, listen, it's one more thing in a relationship that makes you guys can come together. It can also be a point of contention because it's like, you know, if you spent money that we don't have in the account, we're both struggling. But once again, it's that accountability, it's that responsibility.
Because if somebody has bad credit, you don't want to tie your credit to them, or if they have poor spending habits. Been there, done that.
Before he gets married,
Okay, fair point. But I think this also comes back down to, like, okay, the person that you're dating, if they have bad credit, that should be a conversation before you guys get married. You should be observing their spending habits before you get married. Some people don't really consider that and don't really think about that, but that is something you should think about.
he wants a prenup.
That's a green flag. That's a go for me.
Yeah. Why?
Again, poor spending habits. Somebody is irresponsible. You don't want to be dragged down by them.
I'm on the fence. If you spent your whole entire life building this empire and then I come along and I just marry into that, A part of me thinks that you should sign a prenup, because if things go bad, now I have half of everything. I put little to no effort and little to no work into helping you build what you have. Here's where I'm on the fence though, because I feel like a prenup, you assume that things are not going to turn out well. You hope things do, but you assume just on the slightest chance that things don't go well. I want to protect myself and my assets. So I think the assumption, it's the same exact thing where when I hear people talk about divorce as an option, I immediately say that's a red flag and I don't want to be in a relationship with you, because in your mind, that's an option. Whereas I see that, divorce isn't an option. It should be off the table completely. I think you should thug it out till the end with your partner. Tina Turner-like relationships, that's different. So if someone came up to me and said, hey, I do believe that divorce can be, I'm like, yo, if it ain't because of Tina Turner or, you stepping out, I'm not interested. The prenup thing, it depends.
He doesn't want to give his future kids an allowance.
As a child who was not given an allowance, I say that's a red flag. I never had money. My parents supplied everything for me. So when I had my first job and I was able to make my own money, I spent crazy on things that I didn't need and things that have just been accumulating dust. The younger siblings, they got allowances and they also started to do like little side hustles at school. And one of the things that I noticed about them is they made a lot of foolish mistakes, but they also started to recognize that, hey, if I want something specifically, I have to save up for it. I think that should be a lesson in terms of the house. Even when it comes down to budgeting and spending, I want my children to be involved in that aspect. To see how much things actually are, that things aren't free in this life. So once you grow up, you know how the world works from a financial standpoint, as well as it gives them the opportunity when they're young to make mistakes with their finances, and it gives them a sense of responsibility. I also want them to learn to be able to negotiate for wages. Why should I be able to give you a raise on your allowance? If you have been doing a poor job and you try to negotiate for higher wages, I'm not going to give you that money. Having certain lessons within the home will prepare them for when they're out of the home.
You cannot teach fiscal responsibility if you don't let them practice fiscal responsibility.
Amen. Can't say, I like her. Next one.
He wants to get married at the courthouse because it's cheaper.
Yes, ma'am. I understand you want the whole $10,000, $20,000 wedding, but let's just think about it for a second. I'm going on the low end here. $10,000 on the wedding, $5,000 on the honeymoon. You spent $15,000 and y'all are moving into your parents' house afterwards. You're moving into an apartment. Why are you spending this money when you could put this as a down payment on a house? Just a thought. Just a thought. How many women do you know have worn their wedding dress after their wedding? No, nobody? Okay. Now, there are the people who pass down their wedding dresses, but my mom's wedding, I'm not going to fit into my mom's wedding dress. My mom was a size 0. It ain't happening. It doesn't make any sense to go into debt for one day. Even the ring. When it comes down to my ring, I told my boyfriend, the price tag, and that's on you. If you want to spend that on me, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you not to. However, the two things that I want on the ring is an engravement of his last name and an EKG engravement of his heart, like monitor. So I was like, I have your heart, I have your last name. That's all I need. Now, if you want to add diamonds and all this other stuff, that's on you. Once again, take that money, put it towards the college fund for the kids, put it towards the house. That's smart. Before he gets married,
He wants a prenup.
I guess it would depend on how much money he has. If they're starting out together, it needs to be merged finances, I think.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. Merge finances if you're starting out together. As you grow older, there will be fights. But even how you guys are able to negotiate and go through arguments about finances, I think it's very imperative to a relationship in general.
He doesn't have a credit card.
I try to pay with cash. I don't want to owe somebody else 28% interest on something that is an impulse buy.
He works as a freelancer.
I would say green flag because he's in control of his own finances.
Yeah, I would say that's a nice one. That's a nice one. There are some issues with being freelance because it can ebb and flow with life. The level of responsibility in order to be a successful freelance anything, you're going to have to be really good with your finances in terms of making sure that certain purchases are working with the business. You're not going to be doing stuff for free. You know, you may be a freelancer, but you're not working for free or for that to be your job. All right, we got one more. Let's see how this goes.
They're a millionaire, but they split the bill on every date.
That's a green flag. I'm not entitled to your money. We're just dating. Just no. This is just me though. If you are a millionaire, don't flaunt your money and be like taking me out to expensive restaurants expecting me to pay half of the bill. If anything, I'm gonna say, look, I can't afford that. How does Starbucks sound? How does a walk on the beach sound? Let's go to the park. Let's go to a museum, you know? Like that kind of stuff, you know? Something within my budget. Because I can't rock with your budget right now, especially if you want to split the bill.
They only order tap water when you go out.
What? Only order tap water? It's water. Do people actually trip about that kind of thing? You might want to filter your water, but that's not a bad thing. What?
I do that.
Right?
Me too. They refuse to pay for their Netflix account because they still borrow their old college mates.
Listen, hold on. No.
I mean, if you want to use it, then you should also, like, it's fine to pay for it.
No. I'm sorry. Listen. The way the subscriptions work, it's a bargaining chip. I have something you have something that I have. Like, you know. Now, if for whatever reason I get cut out of the Netflix account because somebody had a breakup with someone else and now, like, okay, I get that. But slide me that Netflix account password, though. For real. Because if I'm not mistaken, I gave you my Crunchyroll. I think a red flag for me would be if one of his college mates changes the password and now he's upset and he goes to reach out and ask them for the password and they're not giving it to him and he's having a funk about the fact that he has to pay for Netflix. I find that, like, sir, calm down. It's not, I'll slide you that 20 or so a month. It's not that serious. Like, maybe it's just because of my generation, too. Like, we just be sliding everybody everything. Kimbo, let me know what you think in the comment section below. What are some red flags that you find when it comes to finances and relationships? If you made it this far, please go ahead and like the video. As you know, it helps your girl out. And subscribe for future videos. Because, as well, it helps your girl out. But as always, kinfolk, you know I love you. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.